Well, I just wired up all of my lights, everything from scratch, brand new. I'll see if it works. Looking good. All right, today we're going to start on the chassis wiring. At your fuse block, on each one of them, right here is your grounds. Over here is where you'll pick up your power. So I have power coming in at the top. This is my ground coming in. Each one of my relays, basically we've got it for running lights, left turn, right turn, brake lights, and high beams. That'll be pretty much any car you'll want those 5 things if you're gonna try to drive it on the street. So on each one of them, I pick up power from right here, and a fuse there that will carry and support it. The power goes to the relay. Now, right here is where I have my switches coming in. So each one of these, we have a switch over here, and we activate the switch and we actually have power. This takes power, and basically there's already power ran to the switch. So on the back of my switch panel, the red wire gives power to the entire switch panel. Whenever you flip one of the switches, it takes that power that you're giving the switch panel and it sends it to the relay. When it sends it to the relay, in my case I used a bus bar before the relay so that I could detach it easily without having to cut wires. It sends the signal to the relay. The relay, and I'll try to put a video right here to show you how it functions, or a picture, but the relay essentially acts like a bridge. Whenever it gets the power, it sends the power to whatever wire you have that connected to. So for instance, up here is where we connect whatever you're powering. So over here we have the switch. Over here we connect wherever you're powering. Also, what I'll do is I'll put the link in the description for the video that I made when I made this. I made a video on how to, if you want to make your own relay board similar to this, you can check out my video. Like I said, I'll put it in the description, but on this side is where we have power coming out. So the relay gets a switch from this, it sends power to whatever you have hooked up over here. And in this case, we have turn signals. Now, how are you going to wire a turn signal? Because you don't want to have to sit here and just because you turn, you go like that. That'd get kind of annoying. What you need is this little ticker. What this does, it's a flasher relay, is you have power that comes in. This is where, like I said, you've got a ring outlet. This is what will hook up in there. And when you give this power, it turns on, off, on, off. It has a resistor in it. I'll show you a video in just a second of what that looks like. Now, in this case, because you have front and back turn signal, what I have is when power comes in through this, it comes out here and then separates into 2. One of them goes all the way back to your light in the back, and one of them goes through the firewall to your light in the front. You'll see I have 2 just because you have your running lights as well. The other side, I ran inside of the cabin across, and then we went outside the firewall on that side to the left front light as well. The other lights that I have is my brake lights. The brake lights is actually a momentary switch. There's a switch in the pedal. Essentially, the pedal will always have it like so. So if your brake pedal, if you're not pressing your brake pedal, it's pressing this button in. The moment that you press your brake pedal, it lets that out and it completes the circuit. So we have 12 volt power running in and 12 volt power running out. Now, the power comes from, once again, our power source, and then it goes to the trigger right here. So whenever I press the brake and this button gets released out because the pedal is pressed in, it will send 12 volts right here, which goes to my relay, and then the relay will send the power out. Now, some people won't use relays on, their lights. Like, they think that it doesn't have enough wattage to really cause a problem. I've seen enough people's cars burnt down and enough melted wiring to not have to learn that lesson the hard way. So I would much rather spend you can get 5 relays for $10, spend you $2 and put a relay on it. It'll give you a little bit of peace of mind, and it 100% is going to make it safer for you as long as you hook it up the correct way. From there, when it gives the power, that would be my black wire. So once again, my black wire has a ring terminal and it will hook here. This sends power all the way back to both my lights for my brakes. I'm going to continue getting this cleaned up. If you don't have bulbs already, you can go to AutoZone and get these guys. One thing that's going to make this easy for you is if you have a 3-wire bulb. You get a 3-wire bulb. It's basically like having 2 light bulbs in one, so that you can run this as your brake or running lights and also your turn signal light at the same time. You're going to see 3 wires coming out of this if you have a 3-wire bulb or a 2-filament bulb, basically giving it the ability to have 2 lights inside of 1 bulb. First wire we're going to hook up is our ground, and you can just ground that to the body somewhere, as long as you got a good body ground as well. I'm going to run mine right here. There's a little hole already there, so kind of worked out perfect. I've got the wire trimmed, don't want too much wire, and we're going to run actually both of them to the same one. Over here we got our heat shrink already cut. We got our terminals ready to be crimped on there, and a good self-tapping screw to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. I painted the interior of the car, so I took a little Dremel and just knocked off some paint to make sure that it gets a good ground. All right, if you've seen one of my videos before, you might know the procedure, but we got our terminal ready. We went ahead and put our heat shrink on there. You want to make that a habit of putting that on first. It gets kind of hard to put it on once you got your terminal crimped down. We'll slide that in there. Give it a good squeeze, and give it another real double hand squeeze just for mom and pops. Slide that on up. Get your heat gun. Heat that up and just slowly spin it once you start seeing it move, so you get the heat evenly dispersed. Should do it. We'll do the same thing on this wire. Heat shrink on. Terminal on. Click it once. Click it twice. There we go. Alright, now we got both these guys, the terminals on the end, a screw that fits in both of them, and this will go right here. Now obviously I'm not going to leave that finger tight. I'll get me a nut driver or a socket and I'll tighten that down, but this is how you're going to ground both sides. I'll do the same thing on the right side, and I'll show you what you do up front. Well, I've got my rough draft diagram right here. There's 4 wires because you've got 2 hots on each side. I'm going to put the 2 browns together. That will be running to my center wire. Yellow will be running to this wire, and I'll have this one run into the black wire. That way I'll have turn signal brake lights and running lights. I just picked up these little quick connectors off of Amazon. It'll make it where if I want to pull the lights out, I can easily. It only costs about $4, and I know if you're like me, you're always pulling things apart, so you'll appreciate it later. All right, so I've got all 4 of my wires stripped on the light side. Got all 3 wires stripped on the connector side. I'm gonna put the heat shrink around these 2 wires. Ooh, shaking the camera. I'm gonna put it around these 2 wires so that it holds it still. Kind of holds these together at the same time. Put these guys together, and I'll twist them. Give them a couple twists. Probably go inside this end. Hopefully go on that side. Get your pliers. 1 squeeze. 2 squeeze. Because I got it on both sides. I'll go 3 squeeze. Mom and Dad. I'm gonna run the heat shrink up, and then we'll heat this up to shrink this down. And like I said, I'm gonna connect the blue wire to this side of the light, black wire to this side of the light. All right, I'm up front now, and what we're doing is we're wiring the left turn signal first, the driver's side, and I've got my wire ran through the firewall. It's going all the way through on the inside of the cabin. Figured try to keep as much of the wire on the inside as possible. That wire will run over here where it will be teed in to this wire. Okay, so if you've got 7-inch headlights, a lot of times the back is gonna look something like this. It'll be like 3 tabs and a little clip that holds the light itself in place. Now, first time I went, there are 2 different sizes. They're a lot smaller size. Normally they're plastic, as far as like how big the tab is. Instead of being like that big around, it's like that big. And those won't fit in these headlights. But you get the right size, hopefully it'll fit. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull the little clip tab, just a little Phillips head right here, pull that off. Once I do that, this little plastic piece should move out of the way. And when the plastic piece moves out of the way, we can put the light in place and put the clip back on. Here's your plastic case. I believe they just put that in there in case you decide not to put high beams on. But this is going to be a street car, so I need high beams. So when you look at these lights, I don't know if you can see it there, but you get 2, so 1, 2, 3 tabs. 2 of them are a little bit skinnier, and then you got a fat one down there at the middle, and it'll only go in there one way. So just if you're having trouble, watch for that. Lights for the 60s and 70s, you got 2 long bolts like so that have a little crease at the end of them, and that little crease is right in there, and as you screw this side one in, it will make it point that way, the headlight out. As you screw the bottom one in, it will make it point down. I have gone ahead and stripped both ends. I'm gonna make this hopefully pretty quick because I got something else. I got these. These are little pigtails. Basically, they make everything a little bit quicker and hopefully a lot nicer. These guys, these will just, the 3 prongs will plug directly in to the back of the light, and looks like they're already pre-stripped for us. So it'll just be a matter of crimping these and put heat shrink on the outside of them so that they are watertight and have a good connection. I'm gonna get to now. We've got our medium sized wire. This is going from this headlight back to the short wire that has a ringlet on it. This is being powered by the fused relay. And then we have this really long wire, and this one's going to be going across and up to the far headlight. All right, so when you're looking at any H4 headlight bulb, then this is basically the pigtail, so it's going to match up the correct way as well. You got your ground on this side, you got your high beam on this side, and low beam on this side. Some of the older style, the ground is up top, so just make sure that you get the right pigtail or you know where you're wiring it. Like I said, ground, low beam, high beam. Okay, so we got lights. I went ahead and hooked them up. It was pretty simple. Basically, like I said, you're gonna have 3 wires. I've already got halo low beam, so I'm just using the high beams, and red wire is grounded out right there to the core support. Blue wire connected and heat shrinked. That goes back to our power. Same thing on the other side, driver's side. We got our ground wire and power ran. So what I've been over here doing is, like I said, just lumen, putting some protective covering around the wiring and cleaning it up from the back out here. That way I don't have tons of wire exposed and it doesn't look like crap too. Well, I just wired up all of my lights, everything from scratch, brand new. Let's see if it works. Looking good. Hey, hey. Let's check. Left turn. It's hard to see because the bumper's down there, but she's working. Let's see, check right. And she's working too. Make sure the back works. Hey, hey. This thing's looking like a car now. And now my lights are officially done.